link. Ayan. Okay. Sige, bigyan mo ako ulit ng background na story mo para I have an idea how I can guide and help you.
Okay po. Bali po, natapos po ako ng diplomate boards January, last year po.
Okay.
Exact, 1 year ago. Tapos po, nag-take ako ng gap year po, bali ngayon.
Mm.
Yun, bali yung
So,
very short lang na.
so you're in Melbourne, living with your siblings who
Yes
are
po.
citizens or PR?
PR po.
Oo. And then, how long are you planning to be in Melbourne?
Bali until Feb lang po.
Okay.
Bali, I've been here since August.
Okay.
Yeah, hanggang about 5 months lang po.
And then your questions to me are,
I would like to guidance regarding pathways
okay.
in order to work as a doctor, especially as a radiologist in Australia.
Uh-huh.
I'm seeking further training and or work opportunities to
Okay.
further my career.
Okay. So bigyan kita ng background. I think have you seen my background or read my background a
Yes po.
bit? Oh, sige.
Yes po.
Yung background ko, 2005 exactly. January of 2005, dumating ako dito sa Perth, Western Australia, to do fellowship training in interventional vascular radiology. So I finished my medicine sa Lasal das Marinas, and then I did my internship sa Makati Med, and then did my radiology training. I actually did 3 months of pre-res in surgery sa Lourdes Hospital. Tapos I did my radiology residency sa Medical City. During my first year of or let's say even 2 weeks of my pre-res in radiology, or even before I did radiology. Radiology wasn't even in my bucket list or in my top 10 list. Nagkaroon lang ng opportunity nung natapos yung pre-res ko ng surgery na kasi surgery it wasn't that pleasant, if you know what I mean. I love to be a surgeon, but I didn't know that at that time I don't want it to be my lifestyle, my forever life. So at that time after ng surgery, I felt lost and didn't know what to do. But my friend, siya yung OB resident sa Makati, sa Medical City at that time, and she said there's an opening in radiology sa Medical City. Why don't you try it? And I said, oh, radiology is not even in my list. I didn't even consider that, but because at the time I didn't know what to do, feeling lost, I just said I'll have a go. After 2 weeks of pre-res in radiology, I fell in love. I don't know about you. I don't know why you did radiology. If that was your also was what do you call this, interest? Naging interest mo ba?
Yes po, Doc. Parang since internship po, I was always amazed by yung process and ano sa radiology. So, sa Makati Medical Center din po kasi ako nag-internship. Tapos po may electives po na parang pre-duty from. So, kapag from duty, yung after namin ng ER, radio yung post ko. So, I get to apply what I learned about the history, dun sa patient, dun sa mga findings na makikita ko dun sa rotation. And then, natuwa ako sa work environment and maganda naman yung training program. So, dun din ako nag-residency po.
Oh, that's very
Tapos
good.
po, yes po, sunod-sunod po, bali right after po ng internship, pumasok po agad ako sa residency. Tapos po, year 2021 po, naging chief res po ako ng radio.
Wonderful.
Tapos po yun, pumasa na po.
I don't remember rotating in radiology sa Makati Med. I have no recollection. Maybe really I wasn't interested. Pero I also enjoyed my internship in Makati Med. So you probably know a few of my co-interns there. Pedya siya doon, si Ruthie, Alejandro.
Yes po.
Tapos si Joanne Obi.
Sa OB po, di po kasi masyado
Okay.
namin nakikita yung...
Sino? Surgery. Ewan ko si Padlan.
Yes po.
Yeah.
Dr.
So,
Michael Padlan po.
yeah. So, may mga kilala talaga ako mga co-intern ko rin doon. So, that's great. So yun. Teka, send ko lang tong invite kay Marky. Pause ko muna ang ating... Saan ba yung recording ko? I don't know how to... Oh, there you go. Record again. So yeah, I enjoyed my internship sa Makati Med, but when I went to pre-res in radiology sa Medical City, I fell in love with interventional. I didn't know that there's such a thing. Kasi at that time, in 2002, si Dr. Vea was one of the two interventional radiologists in the Philippines. He was trained in America. Yung the other interventional radiologist was in St. Luke's. So I fell in love with interventional radiology and radiology itself and the lifestyle and lahat ng mga procedures in radiology. I got it because nobody else are interested. Mga senior ko, mga junior ko, mga co-resident ko. Hi, Marky, Vanessa, how are you? And this is Ross. Nakamute ka?
I'm sorry. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Hello.
So
Fine.
Marky messaged me. He's in the Philippines, right?
Yes. 7
Okay.
years in practice.
That's very good. Whereabouts in the Philippines?
Manila.
Okay.
And Cavite.
Which hospital?
Adventist Medical Center.
Saan yan?
And Siemens Hospital.
Saan yun?
Intramuros and Pasay.
Very good. And Ross is currently in Melbourne and
Yes,
just finished diplomate exam. Congratulations.
Yes po. Thank you po.
And you're
that's great.
there on holidays and planning to go back to the Philippines and work. Meron ka na bang naka-line up na work?
Looking into it po muna, Doctor, para hindi rin mahaba yung gap.
Okay. Marky, naka-record tayo. I don't know whether you accepted it.
I'm not sure where should I click. I didn't get the notice.
Okay. How do I do that?
It's okay. It's okay.
Anyway, it's recorded because there are people asking me about radiology in Australia, so I thought I'd share it to anyone who might be interested because it's hard to Zoom everybody all the time.
That's right. That's right.
At least I can repurpose this.
That's right.
So yeah,
I was just wondering, did you also take the specialist recognition pathway?
yes, I did.
Oh, you did. So because I heard like the chances of getting a comparable remark or evaluation result after the evaluation is somewhere less than 5%. Is that correct?
Correct. You have to retrain here. You have to be ready to retrain here.
So actually, I'm just batting for the partially compatible outcome. So with that outcome, is it correct that I have to sit in an FRCR exam, right? I'm sorry,
Yes,
in a
everybody
exam?
in the world will need to receive the Part 2 exam, whether you're from the Philippines, from America, from UK, from Commonwealth countries. Everybody needs to sit the exam. But the exam, you can sit it whilst you're retraining, because it's better to be in a training program or a non-accredited training program for you to prepare yourself for the exam.
Sitting exam. All right. So for the retraining program, I will have to apply for that myself, right?
Yes, you will apply for fellowship positions.
Oh, fellowship positions. And that comes with compensation, right?
Absolutely. 100% and you'll be very well compensated compared to the Philippines.
Yeah, well, but the thing is, I'm sorry, Ross, if I'm
That's okay. Keep going. He's learning. He's
yeah, well,
learning.
you see, I have 5 kids right now.
Yeah.
So I was like computing the cost, what do you call it, the cost of living. Like if it's Sydney, I understand it's around 12,000 Australian dollars. Is that right about correct for a family of 7?
Let's just compute. Let's go back to the background first.
All right.
Let's go back to the
Okay.
basic background how I got here, and so you have an
All right,
idea
sure.
yung journey
I'm
ko.
sorry.
Kasi hindi ko napadala sa yung background ko eh. I think I've sent Ross it a while ago. Kay Ross a while ago. Anyway, so ang background ko, I was trained in the Philippines, medical city in radiology, and my goals ever since was to be an interventional vascular radiologist. So after my 4 years of training in medical city, I applied for fellowship all over the world. Literally all over the world. I even applied for a radiographer job in America. I don't know why. I was
Really?
just really inspired to go out because I wanted to come back to the Philippines to be an interventional radiologist. So
Okay.
I was blessed to be accepted here in Perth. Charlie's sponsored my medical training visa and 1-year fellowship training. So I arrived here exactly, anniversary ko ngayon January. I arrived here 2005 of January.
Oh, that's great.
So,
So 1 year already.
So
Okay.
I did not go through any specialist pathway to get the training. When you're applying for
Okay.
fellowship in Australia, you don't need the specialist pathway
Yes,
before.
that's right. Before. Okay.
Before.
But
But
right now,
50-50. Kasi yung mga nami-meet kong mga fellows from other countries, they applied for fellowship and the hospitals, the accredited hospital will sponsor you to train. And then down the line, during your training, if you plan to sit the exam, then that's the time you apply for the specialist pathway.
I see.
So there's 2
All right.
pathway. You apply from the Philippines for the direct specialist pathway, and then you apply for a radiologist consultant job / fellowship.
Fellowship, yeah.
Or you also apply for a fellowship training program here in Australia. In an accredited or non-accredited position. Okay. But it's also very challenging and competitive. Kasi ang kanilang priority would be yung local trainees.
Local
But
graduates.
having said that, the local graduates are not applying locally. They are applying for fellowship positions overseas in Canada, majority.
Really? That's quite
Or
odd.
they go outside Australia so that they have, credentials outside of Australia to bring in para yung kanilang tawag dito, kanilang credentials is higher than the local trainees. Para competitive yung kanilang CV. So, yeah, so yun ganun ang pathway nyo na pwedeng isipin. Specialist pathway straight from the Philippines going to Australia, waiting, or get a fellowship training position, which can be competitive, and you need to apply 2 years before because the hospital are looking 2 years in advance.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
2 years.
2 years in advance. Alternatively, if you're in Melbourne, for example, you'd like to go to all the hospitals or call in or submit your CV to all hospitals in Victoria or in Sydney, if you're in Australia at the moment, and just check if they have vacancy. Because that's what happened to me. After my 1 year of interventional fellowship, I was meant to go back to the Philippines to be, blowing my horn, to be the first female interventional radiologist.
Uh-huh.
But that's not my destiny. It wasn't my destiny. I met my husband here, and that same year, and we got married the same year. So I did not go back.
Uh-huh.
So I ended up needing to sit the exam. So meaning I have to go through the specialist pathway, and then after I submitted my specialist pathway assessment, they interviewed me, and because I was probably the first Filipino they interviewed, they wanted me to do 18 months of accredited training.
Again,
Correct.
18 months, but
18
that's
months.
with
That's
payment. It's salary also.
everything
18 months.
salaried. Let's just
Okay.
say when I was 2005, when I was training as a fellow, my salary for a year is equivalent to kung kinompute ko noon, siguro 3 milyon yun sa isang taon.
I'm sorry, what year was this?
2005.
Oh, that's a long time ago. It probably increased right now,
Triple
right?
now.
Yeah,
That's only 1 year as a fellow.
yeah.
That's well compensated compared even with your family, even if you have kids.
Mm-hmm.
I
But right now,
think
I think it's higher actually. It's somewhere about, I don't know, 7,
ang
6, 7.
ang fellows ngayon, let's just say ang huli kong nakita sa advertise nila. Anyway, I can send you some links. Advertised fellows nila maybe nasa 180 to 200,000 Aussie dollars a year.
So yung salary postings po na nasa sites, are those before taxes or after taxes po?
Before pa yun. Tax here is
Before.
40%.
40.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so the take home is just 60 of the advertised salary.
Yeah.
Right? 60.
But
Okay.
you still well compensated because that's the advertised. But every week, pagka nag-on call ka, pagka weekends ka, meron loading yon, so you'll be earning more.
Really?
You'll be
That's
earning
great.
more. You can even afford to have a car and in rent here in Australia per week would range kung mayroon kang kids, siguro kailangan 3 or 4 bedroom, 5 bedroom,
That's right.
or shared apartment. So rent will be 500 per week.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, that's what I heard also. Actually, right now, that's my main concern, the finances.
Financially,
I'll be,
you'll be well compensated.
I see.
With or without
Even
kids?
Even with fellowship jobs?
With fellowship jobs.
All right. That's good to hear. Okay. So, as far as fellowship programs, which particular hospitals where would I have a higher chance of getting accepted? Like, do you just submit your CV everywhere, or do you have a strategy? Like, how did you go about it?
So I submit, like I told you, dun sa interventional, I submitted my CV all over the world. So when I got married, I was looking for a job for 2 years, didn't have a job for 2 years. I even worked as a sonographer for a year just to fill in the gap. So when I got the job as a fellow, well, I applied dahil nga desperate ako to get a job. So yung dati kong pinagtitrain at saka apat lang kasi ang accredited training hospitals dito sa Perth. I applied to 4 hospitals as a fill-in, what I call this general registrar. Kasi residents here are called registrars. So I applied for general registrar radiology position in the 4 hospitals, and I got a 6-month contract at Children's Hospital. So after I had my son, he was only 3 months old. I started the fellowship program for 6 months. It was hard because it was depressing.
I can imagine.
It was depressing. I was seeing a lot of sick kids like my kid.
That's
and
right.
It was not fun, but I've learned a lot from that. It was meant to happen, and it's something that I don't think I've learned from the Philippines. At the time nung dumating ako dito sa Perth, nagte-training ako, nang nag-duty ako, I felt na kahit na certified radiologist na ako dito sa Philippines, I felt that I don't know anything. I'm not on
Really?
par with them
Uh,
with the first year.
really
It was a lot of studying
catching up.
and
Uh-huh.
catching up. I felt, oh my God, I really need to study 100 times more than I need to, but that's okay. The 18 months I said I really need it because I know I don't know anything. So I wasn't, hindi ako, natuwa lang ako na I just said it's a blessing in disguise na I really need this training to pass the exam. So I eventually got that 6 months by default. And then after that 6 months training, again applying, my CV is already with them and they already know me because the consultants are just all over these 3 hospitals. So
That's
whoever
right.
knows who and they know you're there, you'll eventually find something. And then yes, I did. Nagkaroon ako ng opportunity after ng pedia. I think either before pedia or after pedia, nagkaroon ako few months ng general registrar positions such as Gardner Hospital. And then eventually they talked to me and offered me a breast imaging fellowship position. Kasi yung by default, yung kanilang fellow did not show up or could not show up. Kasi maraming factors ngayong pandemic na the fellows cannot fly or cannot come. Either wala silang, hindi pa sila nakaka-English ng English exam or sarado pa ang visa processing.
I see.
Grabe ang backlog sa visa processing ng mga immigrant doctors or fellows or whoever or people coming into Australia in general. So hospitals in Australia crying out for fellows because we were closed for 3 years.
That's right. That's what I heard too. So it's really the more the better pathways to do fellowship first before sitting for a specialist recognition pathway assessment. Is that your suggestion, or
you need to do both?
Both. Yeah, so I'll do the fellowship first.
Apply for fellowships whilst you're applying for a specialist pathway because kakilala ko kasi mga training officer dito sa Western Australia, they are looking for fellows who have already assessed by the college.
I see.
Na-interview na dapat sila ng college para they know that they are at par or whatever.
Did they ask for our PCR logbook during the specialist recognition pathway assessment?
Ang logbook mo kailangan mo sa specialist pathway kasi doon nila ma-assess if you're at par or not. Ang pinaka-importante kasi may part sa specialist, hindi lang number case, kundi what are the cases and how many. From first year to 4th year or 5th year kung fellowship ka rin. Ang pinaka-importante doon, procedures. So not only cases in head, neck, chest, lahat ng cases nakita mo from head to toe, kailangan mo i-itemize lahat, pati procedures. I don't know whether you do interventional dyan.
Yeah.
So yun, mga city guided, usang guided, because ang bread and butter ng radiologist are the interventional procedure, the biopsies, the MSK injections, mga city guided injections, yun ang bread and butter ng mga radiologists dito.
That's great.
Ano bang forte mo dyan? You've been practicing as a?
Well, actually right now, bulk of my practice is vascular ultrasound. But at NKTI, we also do a lot of biopsies, tora, para. And also during the fellowship at PGH, I also had a lot of biopsies also.
So chest, that's very good. You need to write that down, not only during training, but during consultant. Lahat ng
That's right.
procedures mo, you have to write it down, itemize. Don't be shy. The more you put in
Right.
there, the better. At saka
I
mas may edge kapag mas marami kang procedures kasi ako at the time I have to train 18 months but I ended up doing 6 years.
But
Before
that's
I got
discontinuous,
qualified.
right?
Discontinued
The
because I had 2 kids in between.
yeah, that's right. That's right. It wasn't a 6-year continuous thing, right? You
Yeah.
had breaks in between.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But I
Alright.
ended up doing 2 years of breast imaging fellowship,
Mhm.
1 year of MSK, 1 year of
Gosh, you're a super consultant
interventional,
now.
and 6 months of pediatric.
Oh my goodness. That's a lot.
And now I'm and then after doing that I did general consultant job for 3 years, and then I did a consultant job in breast screen, Western Australia. And then I took over a breast imaging center 8 years ago. So I'm a business owner at breast imaging center. So this
Actually, that's
year,
also what I'm planning to do when I get there
yeah,
eventually.
hang on. Mapuputo tayo in 10 minutes. Pag maputo tayo, just go in again, okay?
Alright.
Okay.
Sure.
So, yeah, I'm sorry, you were saying na yun ang goal mo?
Yeah, I'm so planning to put up a business there eventually.
That's great because I'm looking for people who would help me set up new businesses.
Actually, this
Uh,
October, we're planning to go to Sydney this October. I have a
Okay.
relative there. So
Okay.
I'm just planning to survey the area.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm trying to gather information as well, so that when I get there by October, I'd probably distribute some of my CV already to several hospitals.
Yes.
But as far as
And
states are concerned, which would you recommend better, like
Perth.
Victoria? Oh, really?
Perth.
Perth is the best one?
Oh yeah, you need to Google that. Perth is a livable city. Nasa top 10 kami. Than Sydney and Melbourne. I just been to Sydney. I love Sydney. I just went to on a holiday in Sydney. I love Sydney, but it's already congested.
That's what I heard. And expensive?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right.
So visit
So,
me.
as you
Visit
have to
me in
research them.
Perth.
I'll try. How about
But
Victoria?
it's like Sydney. It's busy. It's
I
congested.
see.
Perth is
So Perth is like,
Perth is the biggest state in Australia, and we're only 2 million
okay,
population.
biggest in terms of land area.
Correct. It's the
I
west
see.
coast of Australia.
I see. So it's like the parang province,
No,
but
it's a state.
developed. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
it's just a small city but big state and low population. We're actually booming, and Perth has been the most livable city in the whole world during the pandemic. We didn't have the COVID for 2 years. We didn't wear masks for 2 years.
I see. Okay, that's great. I have to research the states then. So for the specialist recognition assessment, another concern that comes into mind is research. I heard they're really particular with research outputs. Did you have that experience? No?
Yes, they will ask that, but I don't do research. Even when I was here, I did not do any research. So
Yeah,
yes, it advantageous. They prefer people who have done research. If you have research, for sure you will have research in your CV.
residency.
So just residency, just write it down.
So I heard
O kahit
someone.
na nag-supervise ka ng research ng mga residente, isulat mo. Sulat mo lahat ng speaking engagement mo, sulat mo lahat ng mga educational talks mo, kung naging kung naging chief res ka, ilagay mo, kung naging head of the department ka or leader ka ng whatever, isulat mo, i-champion mo ang mga achievements mo.
Yeah, flaunt everything.
Correct. Pagka isulat mo na nagli-lead ka ng mga multidisciplinary team meetings with with surgeons or pathologists or whatever, isulat mo, ilagay mo lahat ng assets mo.
So after the specialist assessment, so I could do this simultaneously, right? As you said, I could apply for fellowship and at the same time sit for
That's what
a.
I did. That's
I
what I did.
see.
I was doing my fellowships, and then I was also preparing for the exam, studying for the exam, and then during those fellowship position, I was sitting the written exam, and then I used to fly to Sydney for the exam. It was very expensive. But now, kasi nga sa pandemic, naging iba na,
Online.
local na. I don't know what they're going to do this year.
I see.
So
Yeah.
I was still sitting the exam. It was not easy. It was really challenging because the part 2 exam, ang aim mo is to sit the part 2 exam. Ang part 1 exam kasi for mga first, second year residents, registrar yun yung anatomy
Physics.
and physics. So you want to not do that. And
right.
you want to do part 2
Vivas,
only.
right?
Part 2 is MCQs.
MCQs
Viva
and Vivas.
exam, Viva's
Okay.
exam, and Viva exam yun yung
Orals.
film oral
Okay.
exam. I think 6 to 8 components yun, different organ system.
Systems.
And then pathology written, MCQ, and pathology Viva. May kasama ang
Pathology.
may pathology doon. Pathology
okay.
exam, ang reviews nila is once a year sa Adelaide.
So
Which
or
you
I
can
could just
do.
read up Robbins again.
Yes. It's easy. I mean, I can even help everyone for the oral exam. It's not a problem.
I think it's easy. The
I mean,
patho
it's
exam.
well, it's not easy, but it's easy for me to teach you and guide you.
Okay.
Because I've been teaching and guiding immigrant doctors, not only Filipinos but also other immigrant doctors like from UK who are approaching me, and I do Zoom or Skype.
It's really kind of you to take the time to talk to us.
Because we need doctors, Pinoy doctors in particular. I like more people to come here and be inspired, because the only limiting belief that we have are the fears that we have.
That's right. Because right now, my practice here is really not that bad.
So yun ang natin, ang limiting belief. We are already
Yeah.
comfortable of what we have.
Yeah.
But
Actually, very comfortable.
But
Yeah,
if you want to dream more for yourself and for your family,
my kids. That's right.
Yes, Australia is the best place for you to raise your kids and for them to study and be brought up. And you are in a privileged position all the time, and it's not for the faint-hearted. You will go through many hoops and loops and trials, but if you believe that you're destined to come here, you will do everything in your power to come here.
So sorry, another question. Like in your case, it was quite easier for you to look for jobs in between. Well, I mean, as far as the visa is concerned, because you're married to a citizen,
Correct.
right?
It's easier for me.
Yeah,
but it's
so
still not.
I understand. But what I'm trying to say is, like for us, if we will be going there on a tourist visa and eventually a work visa for the fellowship, after the contract is finished, what are the tips and tricks as far as visa is concerned?
Okay, so if your visa would be a medical training visa, it will be a year, right? Then you have the option to reapply for a second year medical training visa in the same hospital if they will allow you. But you need to show evidence that you're already applied to sit the exam.
I see.
And they will probably most likely hire you to stay.
I see.
If you have evidence, and that's the thing. And then once you're already a consultant, you can apply for a bridging visa.
I see.
Because you're an skilled occupational list kasi ang radiologist. In demand job siya.
Do they have an age limit for the PR status? Is it 45?
45.
Oh man.
And we can
30,
also
41.
sponsor. We can also sponsor doctors. I am advertising for mammographers, sonographers, because I'm opening a new practice this year. So we're advertising. We need doctors, and I need doctors to help me in my new practice. So I am also advertising.
So
Putting
you're
all
saying
out there.
So you're saying even if I'm beyond the age limit of 45 for the PR status.
Are you 45 already?
No, I'm
You're
41.
not.
I'm
Then you
41.
have time. Then you have time.
Really? I mean, just the thing is, I have to give up everything here, move my family there. So it's like all our make or break for me. I have to make it work. It's like a giant leap, right? So I'm trying to figure out all the possibilities. Like if I don't know what are the outcomes. Let's say if the specialist recognition pathway says that I have to. What's the worst case scenario, by the way? What's the worst outcome